On this channel I make a lot of videos about animation, because I really enjoy watching animation and hope to make 2D animation myself someday. Lately I thought that it would be pretty interesting to share my top 10 favorite animated shows that I have ever watched. I think I never really talked about it before. These shows I'm gonna share are different. About some of them I already talked a lot on this channel, some of them I still haven't touched, so it would be nice to discuss them for the first time here. And I'm gonna start with Akame ga Kill. The show might be full of obvious flaws, but it is an important show to me. You see, I used to watch a lot of anime when I was a kid, but in middle school I kinda stopped watching anime altogether. When I was 16 I watched Akame ga Kill, and this show had the power to reinvigorate my interest in Japanese animation. After Akame I started enjoying anime again and discovered many fascinating shows that I still like. Probably the thing that I like most about Akame is that nobody is safe in this show. It's like early seasons of Game of Thrones, before showrunners ran out of George Martin's books. In Akame ga Kill, practically everybody regardless of status can die. You find your favorite character, and they die in just a couple of episodes. It makes the story more interesting to watch. I think the show works very well with characters. I especially like General Esdeath, who is the main antagonist for Akame. The show presents her from different angles and perspectives, and doesn't just portray her as some ruthless commander and killing machine. Especially after she falls in love with Tatsume, nominally the main protagonist of the show. The show does try some interesting writing choices. I already talked a bit about this show in my 10 great animated shows that you should watch. It's a really fascinating animated anthology series, where each and every episode is its own story with its own interesting and even unique style of animation. Episodes are definitely very different in terms of quality too, but not a single episode in this anthology is boring to watch. There is always something to enjoy, whether it be creative animation or a story. The show works especially well with two genres. These are sci-fi and horror. Sometimes they cross into cosmic horror. Some episodes draw direct influence from works of H.P. Lovecraft. Some episodes are pretty straightforward in terms of visual representation. Some try to be more creative and don't even feature dialogues. All in all, Love, Death and Robots is a fantastic experiment in my opinion, that shows the potential of animation as a medium, as a way to tell a story. This one is comparatively low, because I still haven't seen the 4th season, and frankly speaking, not really a fan of the direction of the 3rd season in general, as the story took a drastic shift from a war against titans to a conflict among human factions. But the 2 seasons are just fantastic. I only read the first book of the manga, and greatly enjoyed it, probably even more than the show. The show doesn't change much compared to source material. The feeling of mystery and the fear of titans are certainly my favorite things about the first 2 seasons, when not much was revealed. This unfortunately mostly disappears in the 3rd season as the secrets are transpired. Animation and almost non-existent fan stories are 2 more reasons why I like the show this much. This show really doesn't have fan stories, unlike the majority of other Japanese shows, which is a very big advantage to me, as fan stories often just ruins the impression for me. I'll add a couple of words about the Japanese live-action adaptation. It's simply horrible to watch. Those 2 movies are way worse than anything Netflix ever managed to conjure. There is only 1 season of Arcane released yet, but it is already one of the best animated shows ever created, at least in my opinion. Because I don't really remember anything that looks even remotely like this, to be honest. It just elevated the quality that an animated product can reach on simply another level. The show is based on a moderately popular League of Legends video game distributed by Riot Games, on its lore and its characters, but at the same time, There is zero need to be familiar with the game, as the story is absolutely self-sufficient. Most people who watched Arcane never even played the game, including myself. Phenomenal level of animation and world building are important pillars of Arcane, but the show's biggest strength is its characters, as the story centers around two sisters, Vi and Jinx, their relationship, their personal experiences, the way they try to work with trauma they both experienced. They are the core of this story, and everything else builds around this core, including political intrigues and confrontation that sparks between Zaun and Piltover. Arcane is definitely a phenomenal show for many reasons. I don't think we're gonna get a show like this in the near future. Death Note could totally be the best anime show ever released. If it wasn't for the second part of the show, which is in my opinion significantly worse than the first part. But the first half of the show is just fantastic. The writing is on a phenomenal level with a scrupulous attention to details. The story centers around a cleverly written confrontation between Yagami Light aka Kira and a detective named L. Yagami knows who L is, he works with him and pretends to help to find Kira, but L doesn't know that Light is Kira. At least at first he doesn't know. But later he starts to realize everything. Watching this confrontation is like witnessing a very long game of chess between two equally gifted opponents. Music and coloring are used to accompany this story. They symbolize the change of the main character through the show. The color palette is used to draw both parallels and differences between Yagami Light and L. Music in Death Note is inspired by traditional Christian motifs, more specifically by Dies Irae, which is a Gregorian chant associated with death and Christianity. The amount of work put into this show is simply astonishing. And again, if it was only the first half, Death Note could have been the best anime show ever made. The Owl House easily became one of my favorite shows ever, after just the first season. It was such an unlikely revolutionary project for Disney Channel. The first LGBTQ+ main protagonist, and not just that but also the first on-screen same-sex kiss, which happens in the second season. Something that I think most people didn't even expect, but Dana Terrace, aka the creator of the show, insisted on it, and she won eventually and kept her vision of the story almost intact. The first season of The Owl House is the thing that got me into exploring animation as a medium more deeply. It showed me, no, it reminded me of the potential of animation as a tool for storytelling once again. The Owl House is an extremely well written, exciting and emotional story. Too bad we did not get a full-fledged third season, which is a big lost opportunity in my opinion, as this show still had a lot to explore in terms of its lore and characters. And would explore if it wasn't shortened. But even the shortened season was good, especially the finale, which was probably the most expensive piece of Disney Channel animation. I am not sure, but it looks this way. The animation goes very smooth during fight scenes. The second season has almost zero filler episodes. Most episodes progress the story further in one way or another, which is a big advantage too. I love the reboot of She-Ra created by Indy Stevenson. I always love any show, game or a movie, any piece of art in general when I can relate to its characters. When characters experience something that you experience or experience yourself, it elevates the empathy that you feel for the characters on a whole new level and makes you much more invested in their story. This is why so many stories that are based on the author's personal experience are so good. Because the struggle and problems of the characters are real. This is what makes Nimona, another story created by Stevenson, so good. She-Ra has a character with autism, Entrapta. While autism is a wide spectrum with different sets of syndromes, some traits are common for every person with autism, and it's really nice to see it on the screen. Another character, Ketchra, was mentally abused by her mother figure when she was just a child, and this abuse has a huge impact on Ketchra when she grows up. The show is a great exploration of abuse and trauma. But not only that, She-Ra overall is just a really cool and empowering story about friendship, love and never giving up.
Been a bit of a bumpy ride, huh?
Without any exaggeration, it is one of the best cartoons ever created. It is honestly surprising how this show was actually made on a kid-oriented television. Avatar talks about so many things including imperialism, slavery, and even genocide. There are comparatively big YouTube channels dedicated exclusively or almost exclusively to this show, characters, and the world that was created. This world created by Brian Konietzko, Michael DiMartino, and others is just so interesting to explore. Avatar explores not only political issues but also personal problems of the characters, such as abuse and trauma, similar to what She-Ra does. Or should I say She-Ra is similar to Avatar. The Last Airbender has one of the best redemption arcs in the media, and in general it is a very complex, multi-layered story. The Legend of Korra was also good, but it pales in comparison to The Last Airbender. This is why it receives so much criticism. The Last Airbender is still very popular, and Netflix has been trying to get a live-action version off the ground for years, and it seems like it's gonna be finally out next year, for better or worse. I rewatched Gravity Falls this year, and this show just holds so extremely well. I watched it in middle school and was afraid that I would be disappointed now after watching it again. But no, the show is still amazing. Gravity Falls show that family-friendly TV can be nuanced, can be complex, and can have a lot of risky humor. This show is based largely on Alex Hirsch's own childhood, and this is why the characters and their relationships feel so real. This is why Dipper and Mabel feel so real. And this is one of the biggest strengths of this show. Besides that, Alex Hirsch created a very intriguing universe full of mysteries, time travels, and other worlds. And it seems like a small sleepy town, Gravity Falls somewhere in Oregon, is the center of all the anomalies that leak somehow into our dimension. And as the story progresses, our characters discover more and more fascinating secrets of the town and their own family. The first season is mostly episodic, with an obscure overarching plot that only truly kicks in closer to the end. The overarching plot bursts in the second season. There are only 2 seasons, and the show ends precisely where it's supposed to end. This is what makes Gravity Falls such a great show. It is a finished story as the creator intended it to be. If you want to explore the world of Gravity Falls more, you can always get yourself a third journal. I read it this year, and it is a curious read which sheds light on Ford's past, his life in Gravity Falls, and discoveries that he made. This show is certainly not what it seems. It might look like just a children's show about magical ponies from the first glance. But let me just tell you, the show is something much deeper than that. Friendship as Magic was created is not just another toy advertisement as were previous generations of MLP. It was actually a passion project by Lauren Faust. She had been an animator since the 1990s and worked on several prominent projects, including the famous Powerpuff Girls. She was very disappointed that the landscape of animation was so skewed towards boys. She saw that the quality of animation for girls was very low and attempted to change it once and for all. And over a decade later, we see that she definitely succeeded in her endeavor. She was involved with only 3 seasons out of 9, but without the foundation that she created, later seasons wouldn't exist at all, that's for sure. In 9 years, the show gave us an abundance of great and relatable characters and stories. Each and every character represents something unique. We have Rainbow Dash, who learns to tame her ego and be a better team player. We have Scootaloo, who is a Pegasus but she cannot fly, which is a metaphor for disability. We follow the main character Twilight Spark, who see her growing, becoming more confident, mature, stronger from season to season, and it culminates in season 9. Overall, Friendship is Magic did something very similar to what She-Ra and the Prince of Power would do 8 years later. Precisely, it took a well-known toy franchise and created a big interesting universe with its own unique history, rules, and magic. Friendship is Magic is just a great show by many metrics. Music is fantastic too. Daniel Ingram is an extremely talented composer and songwriter. And these were my favorite animated shows. I think I would like to mention some shows that I love but didn't make into this list. Amphibia is another Disney anime-inspired show similar to The Owl House. But unlike the Owl House, it is more episodic and focuses on slice of life adventures rather than pushing an overarching plot. But there is an overarching plot, of course. The Legend of Korra is a bit hit or miss in my opinion. It has 4 seasons, each of them is a different story with a different antagonist or antagonist each time. Seasons 1 and 3 are very good in my opinion, while seasons 2 and 4 aren't really good, especially the second one. Over the Garden Wall is a nearly perfect adventure. The atmosphere of mystery envelopes you from the very beginning till the final moment through story and especially fantastic music inspired by the old American music and old American cartoons from the 1920s and 30s. Invincible is such a great adult superhero show with a lot of gore and very intriguing plot. Primal is the most bizarre show as it takes place in a world where primitive humans, Vikings, dinosaurs and mammoths all coexist together. Honestly, never seen anything like this before. Share what you think about all the shows I talked about or mentioned, and stay on this channel for more content like this.